Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 9 of our F1 2001 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and I believe, if I've done this correctly, the first race in this series here in 2025. Of course, we've got a few more months before F1 25 launches. I'm hoping to get the 2001 season wrapped up, and then maybe we can try and get 2002 done before the new game drops, and of course then all focus will be on the new title for a shorter period. But of course, obviously, if you're new around here, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed. I don't really know exactly what kind of sub goal we want to achieve this year. Maybe we can try and get closer and closer to 200k, but yeah, ultimately there are a lot of things kind of out of my control which will kind of decide that, but we'll give it our best shot as to what we can do. Of course, if you missed out on the last video from this series from Silverstone, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We lacked a little bit of pace around the British Grand Prix. We've still had no finish worse than P4 so far this season, but half of my finishes have been that 4th place. Weirdly, we've never had a P3 yet in this campaign, which is quite funny considering no other driver has finished P3 more than once. So there are quite a few little oddities as we head into the second half of the year there. We've got just an 11-point buffer over Jacques Villeneuve. Constructors-wise, Williams lead that by 10 points over ourselves. So yeah, it is very much looking like Williams versus McLaren is going to be the fight throughout the rest of the season. We are desperately trying to bring more and more upgrades to the car over the next few weekends. Kind of ignore the vehicle performance chart. It doesn't quite work as you would expect it to. So yeah, we're going to need to earn some more R&D before we can do any more upgrades here. But yeah, let's head out then into qualifying here at the Hungaroring. Well, the sun is meant to be shining right away throughout the weekend here at the Hungaroring, and I tell you what, yeah, the weather has certainly been much better in 2001 than it was in 2000, but I'm hoping this is going to be a good track for us. Obviously, quite high downforce, and so far I know Spain and Monaco have really been the circuits that have suited our car so far this campaign, but have Ferrari potentially brought some upgrades as well. Michael Schumacher leading the way through Sector 1. It seems like Ferrari, when they get the qualifying laps hooked up, they're really good, and then it just absolutely falls through the floor almost kind of immediately. They make one little mistake, and it will cost them like over a second in a single corner there, but currently it's our teammate David Coulthard, of course, took pole last weekend. Sorry, didn't take pole last weekend at Silverstone, narrowly missed out. It's still Williams that have had every single pole position this season, but we have opted for a very high downforce setup here, as you would expect us to around a circuit like this. Could we finally put an end to Williams' dominance of poles here as we make our way in towards the final couple of turns? It still looks like it's DC at the front of the order there, but as we try and mash the throttle down, it is looking incredibly tight for P1 there. We have sailed it into that final corner. Can we get the power down on the exit? Will it be P1? Yes, it finally will.
Excellent lap. We're really pleased.
After more than 50 attempts, we've finally got pole in this series. Well, if you ever needed more evidence about how much of a two-horse race this season is going to be, yeah, I mean, both Williams, both McLarens covered by a 10.5. Ralf Schumacher barely a second away from pole position there, but by 2/1000ths of a second, we have claimed pole position here at the Hungaroring. That felt like a pretty decent lap in the end. We struggled a bit in Sector 1, but we had good pace through Sector 2 and Sector 3. Hopefully we can carry that momentum into the race.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of the Formula One World Championship. We don't expect too many retirements at this track. There are plenty of current and former drivers with flawless finish rates here. In particular, Ralf Schumacher. He made it across the line in all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix starts. 14 corners then for our drivers to navigate at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring today. It's 6 lefts and 8 rights around a lap here, with average speeds in the region of 120 miles per hour. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
They've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far, but whether they can keep that up long term remains to be seen.
Well, so far this series, Anthony Davidson really doesn't seem to believe in me, and if anything, we've only ever been consistent. It's how it's got us into the championship fighting positions, and it's why we've got the championship lead this season as well. Taking a look, though, it is meant to be sunny skies right the way throughout the Hungarian Grand Prix today, and for the first time ever, we've got a nice clear view in towards Turn 1. Safety cars, though, can really change up these races, but starting from pole, our starts haven't been great this year. It's going to be 5 red lights. Not a long hold at all, but it is going to be lights out, and away we go there as immediately Frentzen and Jacques Villeneuve will try to capitalise in towards Turn 1. Can we just try and keep it fairly clean and tidy there through that first corner, trying to get late on the brakes, and it hasn't worked for us. Looks like it might be a fairly clean start up and down the order there, but from P1 straight down into P4 is a pretty disappointing getaway. As we said, we haven't got the straight line speed of plenty of our other drivers here. We've just really focused on trying to make sure the car is comfortable through Sector 2 as well, through Turn 4. They're a little bit sketchy on the way in, but Heinz-Harald Frentzen, of course, he's taken 1 win so far in this campaign. I'm sure he'd love to try and get another here this afternoon. What can we do, though? Obviously, we've only had 2 wins so far, which, you know, isn't bad going, but it has been a little while since we stood on the top step of the podium. And just like Silverstone, then, we find ourselves in P4 behind our teammate and potentially about to watch those Williams bolt away. Well, let's see what kind of run then we can get out of the final corner. This is obviously where we claim that pole position, that huge send we made through that final turn there. But have we got the straight line speed to really fight with DC? We can stay pretty close to him. So try and have a bit of a look down the inside of Turn 1 there. And again, just leaving myself a little bit vulnerable on the exit. So yeah, Coulthard will hang on for now. Just I panicked for a second that I'd lost third gear. But it was just me accidentally double shifting. But yeah, we can definitely move past DC pretty quickly. We've said it before a couple of times recently. I do feel that McLaren need to start trying to play the #1 rule. Obviously, it's not quite like Papaya rules in last year's campaign. There's already, yeah, team reporting issues for other cars a bit further back. Not sure I'm too bothered about that one there, but we're just watching those Williams. They haven't quite got as big a margin as you would expect them to around a lot of other circuits. As I mentioned, this, you know, is one of our best shots at a good result. But over the last couple of weekends, Williams' qualifying pace has actually got worse, and their race pace has got better relative to ourselves. Can we now get the switch on DC at the final turn there, as they're already down in the low 23s. We do set a 23.4. Are we going to see Coulthard try and go defensive? Yes, we do. We will try and have a look around the outside of our teammate. And again, there just is not the grip. Come on. We need to get on the radio to Ron Dennis. Tell him to let us by. Team already recommending a new strategy to us then, and that's actually to extend this first stint. So I was thinking about potentially going the other way, but I would quite happily extend this first stint. Obviously, we know how good the tyre wear is in this mod, so could we try and go long and maybe overcut Coulthard? Oh, come on, this has got to be the run. This has got to be the run. I mean, Frentzen is just setting fastest laps each and every time there. We've got to force DC defensive, but we will send it to the inside of our teammate there. Get the power down on the exits. We go wheel to wheel off of the corner. We are still alongside there, and we cannot afford to back out. Down the inside we'll go. Oh, there is wheel banging between ourselves and David Coulthard. This is not what we need as a team, but we finally do make it through there. That was incredibly sketchy. I have no idea, again, how we kind of survived that bit of wheel banging, because that could have easily been both cars out of the Grand Prix. But finally up into P3. Let's go hunt down those Williams. Villeneuve there sets a 22.9. We set a 23.1.
Just put up the fastest lap of the race so far.
So those two Williams cars, yeah, definitely just starting to trip each other up a little bit. But it just seems now like we've got the pace to match them. I am still slowly building up more and more confidence in the car, though. So that gap, yeah, 5 seconds to Frentzen. Let's just see when they pit. Oh, there we go. DC then. DC's the first into the pit lane. As I mean, still Villeneuve just seems to have about an extra tenth a lap over me right now. When we absolutely nail it, we can go quicker. But yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting then. So David Coulthard will come out in traffic. So we shouldn't be vulnerable to an undercut from him.
4.5 seconds.
But I think, yeah, our best course of action here is going to be to try and go longer than the Williams cars. See if they get held up in some slower stuff. And kind of really try and move from there. Well, we are really just trying to smash out the laps right now. And it's just not getting anything for it. Frentzen and Villeneuve still going faster and faster. Pretty much every single lap now. The gap to Villeneuve's opened up to almost 5 seconds. So I guess for us, we kind of want to hope that Frentzen does win this race and tries to keep Jacques Villeneuve at bay there, as Alonso will let us by down in towards turn 1. It's just those little moments as well. I think we're going to have to try and box soon. Maybe try and do the undercut again on those front runners. But I think unless we get a safety car or something like that, which I'm staggered with we haven't had so far, I'm just not sure we're going to be able to even get a look in against those two. Well, still no idea where David Coulthard is on the road, but we are going to take the opportunity then to pit at the end of lap 14 here. Maybe try and undercut those Williams by just a little bit. Make sure I don't get done for speeding, but hopefully we're going to be out ahead of Giancarlo Fisichella here. The gap was about 20 seconds. It's not the longest pit lane in the world, but it's also not the shortest either, so I think we might be quite close with the Benetton as we make our way down the end of the pit lane here. Still can't hear him, but he is definitely taking time out of us. As that the pit lane will go. But he's going to be close there, and I think Fizzy will just so I get the jump. Oh, I could have tried to have been brave there and keep the nose up the inside, but I'm just not convinced we would have held it. As David Coulthard now is out, so we've barely pulled away anything over DC in all these laps, but we will enjoy fresher rubber to the end. We've got to try and find a way around Giancarlo pretty quickly. Luckily, of course, we do have a huge tyre offset and a much better car through the corners. Benetton, though, like we said, Giancarlo Fisichella is really maximising everything out of that car, it feels like at the moment, and they should be able to mount a challenge against Sauber in the second half of the year as kind of best of the rest. So that's going to be another interesting fight to watch out for in the second half of the campaign there, is really trying to send it off of those corners. Down the inside we'll go there, tipped it in a little bit too early, but we'll make the move. Well, as we round our way through the final couple of turns, clearly the undercut does seem to actually be the way to go here, half a second up by the time we get to the end of Sector 2. So this is hopefully going to be a new fastest lap of the day, and there we go, a 1:21.8. Now, I don't know what strategy Red Bull are going with,
3.0 seconds.
but there's a chance now that we could get really close to them when they do finally pit. Poor Fernando Alonso is basically spending all afternoon with blue flags there. We'll once again get around the Minardi, but you must just think, on weekends like this, what's the point? Well, Williams have clearly seen what we're doing and are going to give Jacques Villeneuve the priority pit stop here at the end of lap 17. I did wonder if they were going to continue to try and extend that first stint, but I think they'd rather cover me off and our fast lap times right now. So this is going to be really interesting to see whether Villeneuve will get the jump on his teammate Frentzen as well. Oh, we've got a safety car. What on earth has happened? It's been a fairly quiet afternoon so far, but I believe this is Jenson Button. It is Arrows just having a mechanical failure then. It really has been a quiet day in terms of incidents, but that works out beautifully for Frentzen. Well, as mentioned, that's going to give Frentzen basically the opportunity to try and get a free stop there. And, well, if Williams were trying to orchestrate that in Jacques Villeneuve's favour, it's really not worked for them. So we round our way through the final couple of turns. I guess it's going to bunch up everybody for the second half.
Negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your
Yes,
pace.
I'm well aware how the deltas work their markers. There we go, Frentzen just out ahead of his teammate Jacques Villeneuve. But yeah, we are going to be right up behind them once again. And this time, we don't have a David Coulthard to navigate. Oh, okay. That's going to be a very, very late call then by the FIA. But apparently, safety car will be coming back in at the end of this lap. We've got to try and find a way around Jarno Trulli. But yeah, Frentzen will have clear running through that final turn there. Has desperately got to try and get some temperature into the tyres. And look at that. We might actually have a bit of a run on Jacques Villeneuve there. There won't be much opportunity to try and have a look past him. So I guess we've got to go for it into that first corner there. And down the inside we'll go. And up into P2 then of the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'm not so worried about Frentzen. He can win this if push comes to shove. But as long as we can try and outscore Jacques Villeneuve there, that is absolutely critical, and just capitalising with the back marker in the way. And we are suddenly back ahead of our championship rival for the first time since, well, the start of this Grand Prix. Oh, there we go, another new fastest lap of the day.
Second the lap on the car behind.
I'm still expecting Frentzen to be quicker towards the end of this, but I certainly feel, unless we make an error, we have got the pace to hold Jacques Villeneuve back. Though, you know, it's those little swings, as we saw last season, that can be the difference between World Championship glory and, well, World Championship disappointment. Well, with 10 laps to go then, it really does look like this battle is going to be between Frentzen and I, just like we saw in the last few laps of the Austrian Grand Prix, but we definitely just have a little bit of extra pace over him right now.
So far.
Another new fastest lap of the day. It's going to be so difficult to make a move, though, so I guess we've just got to try and force him into an error. Well, either our car has got much stronger on the harder compound, or the Williams has got much slower relative to our own pace there. But we are hounding Frentzen. Another new fastest lap of the day.
Keep this up.
The only, like I said, the frustrating bit is he's that much quicker down in towards turn 1. And that really is our only proper overtaking place. We're going to have to get very creative otherwise. Well, one thing I've absolutely learnt about this car so far this season, and I think it's just because of all the electronic gizmos that these early 2000s cars had, you can get them right up to the limit pretty easily. You can really feel confident, but as soon as you just try and push any more, they just get slower and slower. You know, you get a little bit of traction bog, a little bit of tyre slide like that, and you just throw away more time than you could ever gain. So it's kind of weird always having to drive it at like 98%. But at the moment, I mean, we've got, what, 6 laps to go. I just cannot find a way around Frentzen, as that was the perfect time for the Williams to set a new fastest lap of the day. I'm just now leaving the car and reach everywhere. We got the spare fuel. We're just going to lean on that traction control as much as we can. And it looks like it's working for us.
The new fastest lap of the race. Gap to
On
teammate
1 minute
Norris is
20.8.
5.0 seconds.
And you can just see again, those Minardi cars not that far up the road. If we're right behind Frentzen, could we see him get a little bit held up like we saw with Jacques off the restart? And maybe try and do something? Come on then, Jarno. What's he going to do? Where's he going to go? On the road there, you can see Frentzen already just getting a little bit held up by it, but we're all struggling in the dirty air there. Jarno Trulli will just about peel out the way. So we are as close to Frentzen as I think we have been in a long while, but we've still got Alonso to try and navigate as well. I don't believe we'll get anywhere near the arrows or anyone like that before the end of this race there, but just trying to get right under Frentzen's gearbox through that final corner there. Fernando Alonso, is he far enough in front? I think he's just going to let the German by. Are we going to see him? Yeah, Alonso just lets him through. We need to try and find a way around that Minardi as quickly as we can there. He'll dive out the way through turn 1, but we get all kinds of squirrely as well. And actually, that might just have worked out for Frentzen towards the end of this race. He's just starting to get the gap. As we make our way in towards the final few corners then to start the last lap of this Grand Prix. I think we've just completely overworked the tyres over these last few, because now we've got Jacques Villeneuve all over my gearbox once again, as Frentzen will start the last lap and looks set to take his second race victory of the campaign. It was a slow start to the year for the German, but he really has come alive in the last couple of races there and showcased that he has got the pace to compete there, as Villeneuve Oh, I try to look around my outside there. He's actually dummied me in towards turn 1 there, and Villeneuve's mugged me off. Down at that first corner there, I just outbroke myself a little bit through that first turn, and surely there's going to be no way we can try and find a way back around him on this lap there, and I cannot believe these tyres have absolutely hit the cliff towards the end of the race. No idea how DC's hanging on just a little bit further behind there, but yeah, just overworked the tyres in the dirty air of Frentzen, and Jacques Villeneuve looks like he's set to capitalise here. So I just see tipping it through, just have not got the grip at the rear end anymore. This is really, really odd. Traction control seems like it's logged out with a couple of laps left to go with this Grand Prix, but through the final couple of corners, Williams, they're going to return with yet another 1-2 finish inside this series. We've proven we can beat them over one lap, but still, we keep saying it, our race pace, we just need a little bit more out of this car there. Through the final couple of corners, Heintal Frentzen is going to take the victory, but could that little mistake cost us come the end of the year? Villeneuve comes through for P2, and we only walk away with third.
It's a performance to be proud of today from our Hungarian Grand Prix winners. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
Well, there we go there. Similar story to last weekend. Both Williams 1 and 2, both McLarens 3 and 4 there. But inside both teams, the drivers have swapped over, and we claim our first P3 of the campaign as well. There, Giancarlo Fisichella, another great race to finish 5th ahead of Barrichello and Ralf Schumacher there. Both Saubers inside the top 10 once again, with Schumacher from 18th on the grid. A decent recovery to a top 10 points finish there. Hakkinen 11th ahead of Jan Magnussen there, and you can just see at the rear of the field, Trulli and Button both failing to see the checkered flag. What does that do to our championship standings? Well, it means our gap at the top again just getting cut down a little bit more. 8 points now, the gap over Villeneuve, but Frentzen, he's slowly bringing himself back into the fight as well in this championship. There you can see Schumacher jumps Marc Genet in the Drivers' Championship. Jos Verstappen also gets ahead of Jenson Button, and it is still Alonso, the only driver yet to score. Williams now have a 26-point lead in the Constructors' Championship, of course. We've got a little bit of time over the summer break to really now try and figure out this car, but I tell you what, the Constructors' battle behind between Sauber, Jaguar, Benetton, Jordan and Ferrari could look very, very interesting come the end of the year. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Belgian Grand Prix.